The answer to that question is so different for so many people, and I try to keep it basic. I think it starts with just being yourself and being who you are.
Oh, that's a very broad, personal, subjective, individual question. Everybody's active in their own way.
Well, for me, an active member of the LGBTQ plus community is someone who's just constantly looking how to get involved.
Being active means, taking the first step, being part of the process, supporting people in your own lives that you know could use your influence and your encouragement, supporting organizations like the Zebra Coalition and others that are working to make the world a better place for LGBT people.
It means to show up to events, whether that's pride or protests, but it also means sharing your own story and becoming a visible representative of the community.
A coach of mine at the recreation department for Inglewood Elementary.
It was a friend of mine that I worked with who actually didn't come out for at least 6 months that we worked together.
That's an interesting question. I was born in 1949, so there were not a lot of out people when I was growing up.
I was in a fraternity in college, and there was this extremely dashing, gorgeous member of the fraternity that I instantly had a crush on.
What I learned from her was how to show up to your life in an authentic way and the courage that it takes to not only embrace who you are, but to share that with other people.
I had never really met anyone that was openly gay at that point. It didn't matter. It was just a connection between two people, and that's the way I think life is in general, no matter how you label yourself.
Joe reminded me that the day would come where everything would start to feel better and fall into place.
I learned from them that I definitely wanted to find a place to work, that I would thrive, I could bring my whole self to work, celebrate who I was, being part of the community, and not have to hide that side every day.
That they belong, that they should be in places where important decisions are made, that they can be what they want to be, and that there is a place for them in society, in government, in businesses, and in places where important decisions are made.
Is that it's possible to be free and express who you are, but also be held and loved by your community for who you are.
That anything is possible. I'm coming to them as someone who has had to overcome several obstacles. Again, being a woman of color with an invisible disability who immigrated to the United States, who is a non-English speaker, who's queer. So there's lots of obstacles that I've had to overcome, and being able to look at hopefully my story and take hope from that and realize that anything is possible as long as you put your mind to it and you truly believe that you can accomplish it.
I think that kind of optimism for better days and great lives and wonderful relationships is what I hope that our youth take away from myself and other people at Zebra Coalition.
In the next 5 years, I hope that Central Florida continues its legacy of inclusion and belonging. I've lived all over the world, and Central Florida is one of the most diverse and loving places that I've ever had the pleasure of rooting myself in.
5 years from now, I hope that we're not worried about lack of support from our political leaders.
What I'd really like to see, and what could be achievable, is that in 5 years, the demand for our services that we offer finally falls beneath the supply. Supply outdoes the demand.
I would love to see us be more unified and being able to make sure that when we say, all are welcome to the table, that it really is all of us, and that, everyone from the huge, spans of the LGBTQ spectrum are invited, included, and seen and represented. But I think we're on that path. And so that's what gives me great hope and, great honor to be part of this community.
I want our Zebra youth to know that while we are experiencing challenging times and things can always be better, whether it's when you're working with folks at the coalition or when you are just together. I know that there's a lot of potential stressors out there. Just remember, eventually, things will get better if we stick together and keep supporting each other.
You need to stay confident in yourself. You need to know that you belong and that there are places for you in whatever leadership role you want to take, in whatever organization you want to get involved in. You belong there, and you have a voice that needs to be heard.
It's gonna be okay. That it's all right. It's gonna turn out just fine, and life will be more than you could ever imagine. And it's all gonna fall into place, and it's all gonna be exactly the way that you hoped it would be, and even more. So hang in there, stick to who you think you are, be your authentic self, and you've got so much more power than you could ever imagine. So just keep going.
It takes a village to support every single LGBTQ+ youth in our community. As many of us have recently learned, our funding can easily fluctuate with the strike of a pen. Help us create a sustainable way to fund this life-saving work by donating monthly to our youth. A generous donor has also reached out to match every single monthly donation. All donations of any amount will count toward our goal of 100 monthly donors. Let's ensure that the next 5 years will be much brighter for our future LGBTQ+ leaders.